Hi, this is Robert Lee Camp with another class about the science of the cards, and today we're going to take a little different approach than usual. We're going to talk about transcending your cards. Now this goes for transcending the cards that you want to avoid, the negative experiences that you might find show up in your cards, mostly. But it turns out that when you transcend the negative, you also learn how to transcend the positive, and we're going to talk about that a little bit in more detail. First of all, let's think about what is it about these cards, that scary cards and the cards that we don't like. What is it that we don't like about them? It turns out that these things are all things that we don't want to have happen. We don't like them. We're afraid of them for many different reasons. Most of these cards create like a situation where something we had planned doesn't go the way we planned. Or something happens out of the blue that we just don't like and don't want. We might be afraid of losing, either losing our health or losing money or losing a relationship or losing an argument with somebody, losing a legal battle with somebody. There's a lot of fear of loss that's inherent in our being and the way we are today in the world, the human race. So these negative cards are going to cause something that we don't want, that hasn't been planned, that's unplanned, doesn't fit our picture of what we want. Okay, that's the basic thing. So, and they're going to happen. I mean, even this year in Saturn, I had a Jack of Diamonds, an Ace of Spades, I had a Nine of Diamonds, a Five of Spades, and in my, well, I actually had decent cards in my declinate ruling spread. But the cosmic lesson card, which is associated with the Saturn card, I had an Ace of Spades there, and I had a Nine of Hearts cosmic lesson, and this was all just recently. It just ended a week or so ago. So if you look at this, what is it about these negative experiences that we don't want to experience? Like, what is it that we're trying to avoid, you know? And when you look at it very carefully, any negative experience, anything that happens to us in the external world, it comes down to what we're going to feel about it, like what we're going to go through internally. That's what's really going on, okay? Now, if I have my identity associated with anything in my life, whether it be a possession, like a car or a house, or a relationship, or an amount of money in my bank account, or my being right about a certain point of view, if my identity is tied up with that thing or that whatever it is, and something threatens that, I'm having a bad day because I think I am this thing that I'm identified. But let me ask you, are you your house? Are you really your bank account, the amount of money in your account? Are you the relationship you're in? Are you the point of view that you've taken about religion or politics or anything, health or anything? Like, is being right about something so important to you that you would hurt other people to defend that being right? All of this comes down to one thing. It comes down to what we're identified with. And all these negative cards that show up in our spreads in any period, any negative experience that shows up in life, is threatening our sense of who we are, our identity. That's what's going on. We're feeling like we're being threatened. But if you look at it carefully, that's not really true. You're not really being threatened. What's being threatened is something you've identified with. And you have identified with that. The real you has become connected with that. So, and there's a fear there. There's a fear of loss. The ego, which is our identification with our thoughts and other things in our life, that's what we call the ego. It's constantly afraid. Constantly afraid. And the stronger your mind is, the stronger you've learned to depend on your mind, the more fearful you are. This is why the Two of Clubs, which is one of the most mental cards in the deck, and other twos like Two of Diamonds, they're so mental that they have the most fear. They have a lot of fear. You know, they're not the only ones. My card, the Queen of Diamonds, has tons of fear. I'm a Cancer, which is a fearful sign. I have a lot of fear in my life. I have found that the more I am willing to feel the fears that come up and to be with them and let those experiences come and go, and not resist them, I find that these things just don't matter anymore. And I find that being right about something or having someone or being recognized as some role in life is just not worth losing my happiness over, losing my sense of just okayness in my life. And I think you'll find the same thing. These spiritual cards, the 7s and 9s are the spiritual cards, and these are the biggest troublemakers for the people that have a strong ego. 7s and 9s are going to kick your butt if you have a strong ego. And the stronger your ego, and even if you don't think you have a strong ego, if you're having a hard time with a 7 or 9, it's because you are mentally or emotionally or somehow identified with something, someone or some experience that is not the real you. And the 7s are the spiritual cards. These are meant, what does that mean, spiritual? It means letting go of this material attachment. Now, you may not think that's what you want, and many of us don't want that. We don't want letting go. We just want to have everything. We want those dreams that we see on TV, or those advertisements. We want those things. We want all those good things in life, whatever they are. We don't want to lose anything. But that's not how life is. Everything that has a beginning has an ending, and we will let go. But I'm finding more and more that as I'm willing to let go of little things that start at first, really just little things like being right about something, a point of view, like something I learned in my past that I'm now so identified with that I gotta be right about it. Have to be right about that I get upset. Okay? The more we do that, the more we let go of those, the more free we feel. And after a while, if you do this, if you're conscious about this, you'll notice that these negative cards, you're not afraid anymore. Things will come up. You might lose something, you might have a negative experience of one kind or the other, but there's no longer this fighting with it. There's an allowing of it. And now you're actually transcending. You're transcending to negative. And then at the same time, when you see the positive stuff happen, you don't get so excited about that either. Because what is there to get excited about? All the good things and the good cards, like if we see an 8 or a 10, look, I'm going to make a lot of money, or I'm going to have a success in this area or that area. What is it that's being given this success? Like, it's that identity. It's that feeling of being separate from other people. That ego that wants us to be different than others and hopefully better than others. That's what the ego wants more. Because that makes it feel safe. So if you really have to be safe in life, you're going to have a miserable life. And your life's going to be one of constantly defending yourself against everything God is sending your way to have you release your attachments. You can transcend all of this, even the worst Saturn cards possible, like a 9 of spades in Saturn. That's the hardest card you can possibly have, maybe an ace of spades in Saturn. Okay? Any negative card that you have in your spread can be transcended if you're willing to let these things occur and be with what comes up for yourself and not try to keep changing your world to create a world in your life where you can feel safer. You're never going to be safe. No one is ever going to be safe. And what you're being safe from is actually God trying to help you find true freedom. True freedom doesn't come by creating this external life that's a big barrier between you and the rest of the world. It comes through acceptance of what is. And that's how anyone can transcend the card. I've had the pleasure recently of being associated with a couple of people who I consider to be awake, enlightened. And I know their cards, I know their birthday, and I see that they still act like their card. They still act just like their card, but not the negative. They don't express any of the negative. The negative part, which was all based in the fear, is gone. But they still act out like their card. Like a 3 still acts creative and still might have a short attention span. A 5 might be restless. All of this, a king might be strong. But there's no attachment there to any idea or anything anymore that causes them to have a negative experience with anything that occurs in their life. They're okay with whatever shows up. And that's the trick. That's the trick to transcending your cards. I hope you can practice some of this and experience this for yourself. It's one thing to hear it, but it's another thing to have the direct experience of your own. So if you do try it and practice it, let me know. Put a comment on the video or whatever. Thank you for listening, and have a great rest of your day.